What's up, YouTube? So I had to make a video today about the new Steve Rogers Captain America #1. All right, so I'm gonna go in. I really hope I get some good views on this and get your guys' opinions, because I'm a big Cap fan. So this is gonna have spoilers, obviously, but I mean, it's all over the internet already. So anybody that's been online for the last few days most likely has seen this. So basically, there's huge backlash on this new Captain America. I've seen literally like a small handful of positive feedback and just enormous amounts of horrible reviews and opinions on this. I mean, people are really hurt. So to go into it, now here's the spoilers. You don't want to hear it, stop watching this. But basically, Captain America at the end of issue 1 here hails Hydra. There's an issue where he's working with SHIELD, and he ends up in the end doing dirty behind SHIELD's back and hailing Hydra. So I'm going to put my perspective on it, because, I'm hearing all this backlash. I said, yeah. I mean, Captain America hailing Hydra. I mean, what the hell? It's like, that's ridiculous. But I was like, let me read it. I understand how things might not be as they seem or this and that. So I read it. So I'm kind of pushed back too. And I'm not really liking it myself. But there's one other factor that which is making me kind of really upset and really disappointed in where this might go. I'm going to say right now, though, I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm not going to be extreme, like, 100% completely angry at this. But because I got to keep an open mind on where this might go, what might be happening. But here's my main issue. Obviously, the essence of comic book characters is, in my opinion, what needs to stay intact from generation to generation, decade to decade. We see so much changing because of time, which is necessary. You can't get stale. You can't have a character that's 70, 75 years old, 50, 60 years old, however it is, and allow it to be this repetition of them never aging. Their life is going through the same thing. We have to see change. Things cannot go stale, or us who have been reading it for decades, or even these new generation readers to come up and to enjoy these books. But in order, in my opinion, for them to remain relevant, for them to remain true, you have to keep the essence. And I use an example of the Batman versus Superman movie where it's alleging on that Batman has killed. And I was asking my friends, who's a big Batman head, I was asking him, has Batman actually killed in the story arcs in the comic books? And he brought some story arcs up where he said that, these are some certain situations. I'm like, okay, well, look, you know what? If it's staying true to the character in the story arc, whatever. So I'm kind of like, what is the essence of Captain America? And we know that it would be nowhere near him even implying that he has any kind of allegiance to Hydra, so that's where it seems so extreme. Here's my issue, though, and again, this is another spoiler, but in the book, they go back to when Steve Rogers was like a toddler, or maybe 4, 5, 6 years old. I don't know exactly how old he is. He's really little, excuse me, and his mother, I guess his mother and father, an abusive relationship, and this woman comes to Cap's aid and invites them over, cooks for them, and then hands her a pamphlet saying, come be a part of something in the community where we're changing things and all this stuff, and hands her a pamphlet for a Hydra meeting. And so here's my issue. I can keep an open mind on this because it's one issue. We don't know where it's going. We don't know if Cap's been brainwashed. We don't know if he's inside Hydra so much that he's having to play kind of both sides right now. Maybe he doesn't trust Shield. Because obviously we seen fallouts in Civil War, and then in the movies, in the comic book, where in the movies where Shield was penetrated by Hydra or whatever. In the comic book, we're just in the Civil War, how, Steve Rogers, Captain America, isn't going to be on the side of the law just because it's a law. He's going to be on the side of what he believes is true to heart. He has that thick moral fabric. And so maybe he's in a situation where he doesn't trust, he's working for Shield. He doesn't trust Shield. He doesn't trust Hydra. And maybe he's kind of playing both sides. I can see these things being where this can be a positive storyline. So I'm trying to keep an open mind. But what I really dislike is that they're going back and they're changing his origin. They're going back, and I don't know where this story is going to go with his mother, being invited to a Hydra. But I mean, that to me is more potent of an issue than him hailing Hydra. But he did push a hero out of a plane, another SHIELD agent out of a plane, in assumably to his death. I mean, we don't know though. So, if Captain America is killing innocent people, that's an issue as well. So, but this issue of them changing his origin, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but when in the late 90s, when Marvel was resetting all their runs, they Fantastic Four #1, SpiderMan #1, everything started over again in 1998. They released, I think it was a 12-issue miniseries for Spider-Man, where they basically changed his story, changed his origin story. So where he wasn't on a field trip in a lab that got bit with a spider, he went to see an Otto Octavius showcase, and it's when the explosion happened when Otto Octavius became Dr. Octopus, that there was a spider there that bit him. So they changed the whole thing. And then in each book, they reintroduced how he was introduced to his main villains, like Falcon and Dr. Octopus and everything. So it's like completely rechanging everything in hopes of, keeping it fresh, new generation, whatever. As you can see now, this being almost 20 years later, they've completely dug a hole in their backyard and buried this miniseries. Because at some point in time in the Amazing Spider-Man series and in Spider-Man's story arcs, they erased that again. They got rid of that whole thing. Because I read all the issues, and you could see few years after that, they would, when Peter may have been talking about his origin, he would bring up, oh yeah, that Otto Octavius event. And then some years later, it changed back to his original origin. So obviously Marvel made a mistake, and they realized it, and they try to erase it, so I hope that they are not making the same mistake with Cap, because, I like what Marvel did with the Ultimates. That was, to me, on point, because you're taking characters that are well known, but it's a completely different universe. You're changing the story in a way where new readers and younger generations can enjoy it. It's relevant to this day and age. You leave the original story arcs alone. You don't change it that much. So, I don't know. I mean, another bigger issue for me with Cap is how many times are they going to kill him off? Or, age him and then just keep resetting this and resetting it. It's I almost would rather see Steve Rogers die in honor than have these things be so reset and come back and have all these holes in their origins and all these issues. So, it's tough. And again, it's comic books. We've seen extreme things. I mean, it's fictional, but yet, we know the importance of legacy. It's almost like an artist's music in their legacy, like a Michael Jackson or a Prince or a Tupac or a Elvis, whoever, you know, in the legacy being so altered and so changed, you know, like an artist selling out. We don't want to see that, you know, and maybe them as a human being isn't changing, but it's changing within their music. So in a sense, same thing with comic books. This may be fictional, but what it stands for, you know, to the fans is deep. So can't wait till issue number two. I mean, hey, I will say if this is the gimmick to get readers involved, they did a good job. But you know, are they doing it just to, in a sense, sell out? Like what, you know, these rappers want to talk about, you know, raping their communities, you know, just to sell out to get a hit record. So is that what's happening with Captain America here? Are we completely altering it in such an extent to where it's almost like selling him out? You know, so we'll see. But like I said, I'm not gonna take extreme shots, Nick Spencer, you know, Marvel for what they're doing. I'm gonna be patient. I am gonna have my opinion though, and I think Marvel and the writers and everyone involved in the creative process needs to understand that too. Because I've seen some artists going on Twitter and just kind of you know firing back, being real cocky and egotistical, and I don't think that's proper as well because we are the fans buying into this, and we've been buying into it for 70 plus years. You know, so each side I think has to be a little more optimistic, a little more open-minded. You know, take the criticism, listen to the readers, but at the same time, I think the readers need to be a little more humble and a little more open-minded to say, okay, well, let's not jump the gun and kind of be, you know, narcissistic in our approach. So that's it. I think I talked long enough about this. uh, Feedback, guys. Feedback, please. And I would love to see you guys post your own videos on, you know, what you guys think of this. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching.